Hello and welcome to the Pinfall. On today's episode, we are looking back on Fastlane, WWE's last stop on the road to WrestleMania. Today, as always, I'm joined by Barnsey and Jordan, and let's get straight into it. And let's start with the pre-show, because on the pre-show we had Riddle defending his United States Championship against Ali. So what did you think of this match, and what did you think about Retribution appearing to split?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, first of all, before we get into the aftermath of the match was actually pretty solid. I really liked the combinations that Ali and Riddle were doing in the match. It ebbed and flowed. I thought it was a real nice opener on the card, and delighted that Matt Riddle was able to pick up the victory with a pretty spectacular move off the top rope. His normal Bro Derek finisher. Just real big impact on Ali and obviously picking up the win. And I think for me, Retribution, just 6 of the worst months of any faction trying to take over the company. Just so happy that it looks like it could be over. I think they made a real bad choice putting Ali as the leader, even though I really, really like him. Just actually quite happy that it's going to be over. Every time they come on the TV now, I'm just a little bit like, oh, not these lot again. And it's getting to the point where I'm actually going out of favour with Ali. But the fact that he's now looking like, he's causing the split in Retribution, I think moving forward, it's only good for his career and hopefully the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, when you just said the match itself was pretty good, that's probably the greatest shame about Retribution. Is all good wrestlers in that faction, but I don't know if it was a factor of things of the Hurt Business being as white hot as they were, or people just not getting behind Retribution as they should have, or maybe just needing a more high-profile leader to start with. It just never clicked, and I'm pretty happy to see the end of it if this is going to be the sort of end of it. And good match. Riddle and Ali, they're always going to put these sort of matches on. It was good they were given the time, and it was a good start to a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys both said. And I think Retribution, you've got people like Dominik Dijakovic and Mia Yim, who I really enjoyed in NXT. So if they do split, then I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. But then again, they could potentially put a new leader in and maybe go again with Retribution. So see what happens there.
Yeah, they could do that. Because you'd imagine now that Ali's probably going to fight Mace or T-Bar. At maybe Mania. I don't know if they wanted to do another match. They could probably do that. The fact that Reckoning and Slapjack sort of just went out the ring before Mace and T-Bar hit the High Justice, you sort of think it could be Ali against one of them two, but they're actually so big compared to it. Almost be a little bit of a mismatch. So be interesting to see how this one sort of develops as we move into Mania season. But Retribution as a whole, there wasn't many things that WWE got wrong during the pandemic, but this was definitely one of them up there with the Raw Underground that sort of come and went pretty quickly as well.
It's just hilarious. You just naming them all there, and just what silly names they have. Like, no wonder this didn't work when you've got T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack. Like, just you're setting up for downfall immediately with those names.
All right, let's get on to the main card then. The first match on the card was Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler with old Reggie, defeating the SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks and the Royal Rumble winner Bianca Belair to retain their Women's Tag Team titles. Did you enjoy this match as an opener for the main card?
Well, as we both know, I'm not a massive fan of the Women's Tag Belts at the minute, and this is the sort of ending we should have had at Elimination Chamber. I believe they had the last tag title match, so I just feel more for the Belair Banks rivalry or feuds, just not kicked into life for someone who won the Rumble, and it's been a real big shame. And it was a pretty predictable sort of outcome. It was a good match. All 4 wrestlers are good in the ring, and the roll up and sort of, I think Jax grabs Belair to stop her getting in the ring. But now it finally feels like we're getting somewhere with this women's title match, which, when Belair won the Royal Rumble, we thought this would easily main event one of the nights, but I'm not so sure anymore. And with Reggie, so weird how he's sort of going around, being managers to everyone. He's sort of started with Carmella, then a massive fan of Banks, and now he's with Nia. It's just the women's division just seems a little bit all over the place at the minute, especially the tag side of it.
Yeah, for me, they just do this storyline way too much when they got like the winner of the Royal Rumble and then like arguably one of the best female wrestlers in the world. They don't need to be putting them in a tag match to try and win the belts, and then it's going to be combustible at the end, like the way it was sort of built going into it with the Reginald thing and Sasha, and it's just too messy for me, really. Both of these females are good enough in their own right to build up a great feud without having to go for the tag belts, which we've seen play out so many times previously. Like you said about Reginald, it's just such a weird place for him to be in this match. Like, there's just absolutely no need for it. But one thing I did really enjoy in this match was just like Belair. She got a lot of ring time. She was probably the one who took the most punishment during the match. And when she hit that 450 splash off the top, I was just like, geez, that's just proper. She proper nailed that move. And I'm hoping now that as we go towards Mania, it looks like Sasha's going to be the heel, which obviously she fits that role so well. And Belair's going to be the face. So it's just more of a conventional main event WrestleMania match. And I'm sure that as we head into Mania season now, them two are going to come to blows a little bit more on SmackDown and properly build.
Yeah, I hope now they've got 3 weeks really to really promote this match and get it to like potentially the main event of maybe night one. And there's no reason these two can't, because they are really good on the mic. And it's a match that I think we're all looking forward to seeing as well. So I'm interested to see how that one sort of progresses. Who do you want to see Baszler and Jax face at WrestleMania for the tag titles? Is anyone sort of springing out to mind?
Apart from Jax and Baszler and Asuka outside the Four Horsewomen, WWE have done a pretty terrible job of building up any other current women, which is a bit of a shame. And the only ones logically it probably will be is Naomi and Lana, which has pre-show written all over it. Or, I personally wouldn't just have it on the card. I feel like Mania is such a big pay-per-view that if the feud's not good enough now, then maybe it shouldn't go on the card at all. But I can't see anything further than that.
Yeah, what they're probably going to do is, though, they, like you say, they could go with Lana and Naomi because it's a way of getting 4 more females onto the card. Just builds out the show slightly more, and I suppose it could be the piss break for all of us.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a few teams in it and do what they did at like WrestleMania 35, which we covered the other week, and do 4 teams. So we'd always had like Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Yeah, Wyatt Squad.
They'll probably do Tamina and Natalia as well, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think they're probably getting as many teams as they can for that match.
The last thing I was going to say on this match was when they were trying to pump in the crowd noise with the EST. Did you notice that? It sounds like they're trying to build that one up for Mania as well, because although I love Sasha Banks, for me, there's only one winner at Mania, and it's going to be Belair. It's just like, as much as this was predictable with the combustible element and Sasha almost turning a heel, Belair's 100% winning at Mania.
Well, we'll discuss that at a later pod to see if the rookie is going to win, as she kept referring to it as.
Yeah, the rookie.
The next match, we had Big E. He beat the new look Apollo Crews to retain the IC title. What do you think of this match, and what do you think of Apollo's new look and gimmick and accent he's now got?
I feel like Apollo should have done this about 5 years ago. Like, when he was last up on the main roster before he had to go back to NXT, he badly needed repackaging. And now his character, for me, is just a lot more believable. I don't know, he's a little bit more intimidating. He's playing the heel role a lot better than I ever imagined he could. And I suppose the only thing that went wrong in this match was the finish, because it was an absolute shambles. Like, I still don't know if Apollo won, if Big E won, what way it was meant to go. I don't think the referee helped in the matter at all. And really, they probably should have just come out and made another ending, because it was just, it really let the match down.
I was going to say, even the commentators didn't really help, because they weren't even sure what was happening. So as a viewer at home, we didn't really know what was going on. I think it was just the fact that Apollo attacked Big E sort of let us know who won that match.
Yeah, because even the commentators were sort of trying to scream across what had gone on, and they're talking about it, but Apollo's just laying out Big E, but they're like, "Oh, Big E, snuck it." But with Apollo, I've always felt like he's an incredible in-ring athlete, and him and Big E are always going to put on really good matches. I mean, this one started with that massive spear to the outside, which was amazing. And yeah, they're just Apollo falls into that category. It was a bit like Roderick Strong before Undisputed Era, where they're just a bit bland. And they sort of need to do this heel work and define their character a little bit more, which is definitely a big plus for him. And I imagine we'll see this go into Mania, which I'm all for. Give them 20 minutes and they're definitely putting a good show. The accent can go though. I mean, we all know what Apollo talks like. Like we don't need the accent. It's like 2021. That sort of curtain and gimmick is a little less now, unless you're like a full blown monster. And yeah, it's just not needed.
Yeah, one thing that really caught my attention was Corey Graves at the end when Apollo had attacked him after the match, and he's slapping him and he's saying this is not over, and then Corey Graves in commentary literally says, Apollo is the last man standing tonight. And I was like, is that going to be the stipulation at Mania? Apollo, Big E. It's always a stipulation that ends a feud. And it could be like the one where, I can't believe we're going into Mania and we're talking about Big E potentially losing to Apollo. Like, I would just never have imagined that pre-Rumble. I thought he might have been maybe a winner of the Rumble and going into Mania as a big star. So, yeah, good for Big E though. I think this is his first title defense on a pay-per-view since Extreme Rules in 2014. So nice for him to get on the comeback trail. And yeah, for me, I really want Big E just to continue in 2021 to become a bigger star. So I'm hoping that he's going to continue to build.
Dug that one out of the archives, didn't you? God, 2014.
On the stats this week.
Yeah, but I imagine Big E after this is going to have reigns at some point. I think that's the next big, maybe SummerSlam, next one of those pay-per-views after this Mania.
Okay, the next match was scheduled to be Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon, but Shane McMahon pulled up with a knee injury, unfortunately. So we had Braun Strowman defeat Elias in a really quick match. I mean, I'm not sure really if we needed to have this on the pay-per-view. I mean, it's building up to the story of where we're going to get Strowman, Shane at WrestleMania. But what did you think of this?
Oh, as soon as I saw Shane and that injury, I was gutted because I was well excited this match was on Fastlane because it meant we wouldn't get it at Mania. But now we're getting it at Mania, and I really don't think this match deserves a Mania slot, especially when Shane hasn't been around for God knows since. Same with Braun. I don't think he's been relevant since the sort of swamp match. So yeah, I was just disappointed that this didn't just get done at Fastlane. And yeah, Elias is always just that sort of jobber. What did make me really laugh though was Jackson was round the back with a vest on, but when Elias is singing in the ring, he's just all of a sudden shirtless, and I was like, why? Why is this needed? But yeah, I mean, just quick match, over and done with. And yeah, I was more disappointed. We've now got another Mania match coming that I'm not really looking forward to.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, like you say, as soon as you saw Shane in the ring with Elias, you knew that it was going to be set up that he wasn't going to be wrestling, and they're just going to continue the story until Mania. Just so not into this. I mean, there's going to be some sort of stipulation at Mania. You can imagine where Shane's going to get thrown off of something, or he always does a big spot, doesn't he? But it's just, I don't know. I don't think it does either of them any justice at a WrestleMania. Like, I sort of just don't care.
Yeah, it's weird that this feud is based on him calling him stupid. I mean, it's like the best they could come up with. And
but Braun.
Yeah, and on Raw, they've sort of set up the match now, so it's going to be at WrestleMania. And Shane said to Braun, "You can have any match you want." So it probably isn't going to be. Well, it was never going to be a one-on-one wrestling match, was it? So yeah, like you said, we're probably going to see some sort of stipulation, no holds barred.
Yeah, you almost need the stip to even it up for Shane. I wouldn't be surprised maybe if it's a Hell in a Cell, just to have Shane jump off of it at some point. But yeah, the stip's needed just to give Shane that moment of craziness he's going to just wow us all with.
Okay, the next match on the card was Seth Rollins defeating Shinsuke Nakamura. For me, this was a really good match, and it always was going to be. It's quite predictable. These two of the best in probably all our opinions, and yeah, it felt like a good match. It felt quite short, actually, to me. It felt like it could have gone a bit longer. I was enjoying it.
Yeah, solid match. Almost, too good to be on this card. This is sort of a match you'd expect to see at Mania, but it looks like that Nakamura was sort of filling the void for Cesaro so that Rollins gets him at Mania on this card. And yeah, I remember them fighting, I think it was at Survivor Series when they both had the belts when Rollins, I think, was on Raw. I think he had did he have the US belt and I think Nak had the IC or the other way around. They fought a couple of years back. And it was a clinic on that occasion. So I've always been wanting to see them wrestle again. But yeah, just like most of the matches on the card, they were just pretty impromptu. I think this match was only like put up on this last episode of SmackDown, so it was just sort of thrown at us. But they're the matches you want to be thrown at you, like when you get like absolutely class matches like this. And yeah, just like a new move I saw Rollins do, which impressed me, where he sort of went for the curb stomp, sort of missed it, but his foot stuck in on Elias's thigh, and then it was like a reverse enziguri almost, that it just sort of caught him. And yeah, the finish of the match was excellent. It was just, two of the best, like you said, Wolves, that are in the ring, and they did put on a clinic, and it was one of the highlights for me of the whole pay-per-view.
Yeah, good little triple threat with Elias getting involved there. No, this match was great for Shinsuke because they've sort of turned him face again, got rid of the rap music, the violins come back, and it was just one of those sort of matches where it's like, you've got 20 minutes, go and show us why you deserve to be, mid to top end of the card, and he did. And that's what you want to see. I was almost a bit annoyed with the commentary because at one point they're just sort of talking through it, like conversation about building up the Cesaro Rollins feud, and I was a bit like, just get in the match. The match is quality. Why are you discussing other things while this is going on? And just for all people involved, just thought it was a really good, strong match, and hopefully we'll get more Shin doing these sort of things again.
Yeah, one quick question for you. So Shinsuke Nakamura, where can you see him on WrestleMania card? Because it seems that everyone else is sort of pairing off now, and it seems like he's the one who's sort of going to be left behind.
He sort of needs to get into this feud with Rollins and Cesaro, and hopefully that could, I think, did George you just say that could be a triple threat at Mania? That's just, three of my favourite wrestlers, and if they're sharing the ring at one time, I think magic can happen. Apart from that, I'm not sure where else he can go, really, because like you say, it's only sort of 3 weeks now till Mania, so if he's going to build up a feud that you're going to be invested in by the time it comes round, he needs to get a move on this week.
Because the only thing I was thinking is if he was to get involved in the Intercontinental match, and then he could take not that I want him to take the pin, because I think he should be one looking like a star, but based on how they're trying to sort of push Apollo and maybe not hurt Big E, they could get him involved in that triple threat match. But it would be such a shame if he's not on the WrestleMania card, and at the moment I'm sort of struggling to see where I'd put him in.
Yeah, he might win the Andre Battle Royal at this rate. You've got to keep some stars for that, but maybe we need to save him for after Mania, pick up the IC belt again from Apollo. It'd be a damn shame if he's not on it though, especially if you can get Braun and Shane on there.
Okay, the next match we had was Drew McIntyre defeating Sheamus in a no-holds-barred match. I love this match. I thought it was really good. Probably one of my favourites on the card, actually. I really like both of these guys. I'm a big Sheamus fan. And, they both beat the hell out of each other, so it was quite good.
Yeah, it was just old school like that, just physical and hard-hitting, and you can tell, they have such long history of each other, just to have a match just work so seamlessly. And again, just like the Rollins Nakamura match, it was just one of those matches where you know you're not going to change anything come the Mania card, but just to have a hell of a match in the time slot you've been given, and rightly so, Drew takes the victory and moves him quite strongly onto WrestleMania, where I imagine he's going to get his Mania moment with the belt back, where although I am in two minds if I want Bobby to drop it or not now, because he's just been white hot as well. But yeah, just a great match and just a great blowout for this feud that's been going on.
Yeah, I mean, was this like their third match or something in the last sort of month? They've had a couple of epics on like Raw as well, and I just feel like WWE just trust these two so much when they want to put on a match. Just the start, we talk about like the whole presentation in WWE now, the build up, like the actual, the 2-minute bit where they were looking back at their 20-year friendship and showing like VTs and stuff that they'd done 20 years ago and pictures, and it just built up to, for them to have that platform to go out and just deliver, and there was just so many good spots in it. I mean, the selling of the suplex when they're outside the ring and just like their body quivering and like looking like they're actually in so much pain. The kendo shots to the back, and yeah, it was just a match that had everything. And I sort of like we just touched on with Nakamura, you sort of feel a bit sorry for Sheamus that he potentially might not get a match at WrestleMania for what he's done throughout the whole year, really. It'd be a bit of a shame if he did get into the triple threat match, but if he did, I'd be sort of delighted for him, really, because he deserves, I think, a shot of being in that main event. Again, probably like what you just said with Nakamura, he'd probably be the one who would end up taking the pin, because then you could maybe move Lashley and McIntyre further on throughout the year. But yeah, just two warriors and just giving themselves so much, just not only during the pandemic, but for 20 years in the business. And they're just, I think, absolute stars.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I know you two are going to probably disagree, but I'm more of a Sheamus fan than I am a Bobby Lashley fan. So I'd rather Sheamus be in a position that Lashley is with the title, and then had Sheamus McIntyre at WrestleMania, and then had McIntyre win it, maybe in a similar match to what we saw in Fastlane, really. That's just my personal opinion. But with regards to Sheamus, it looks like maybe the US title, maybe. He had a little bit of a altercation with Riddle, so I guess that's not a bad little spot.
Yeah, I mean, them two put on a match would be physical as well, very similar to how Drew and Sheamus are in the ring together. Riddle and Sheamus will be of that same ilk, and yeah, he might even grab it. I don't know, I can't remember if he's been US champion before, or would this make him a Grand Slam champion? Is this going to put Sheamus into that bracket now? Because I think he's done IC and World title.
I think it needs the IC, I think.
Has he done US before?
Well, I think so. Well,
we'll have to look into that one.
Yeah.
The Pinfall will get back to you.
Yeah, it feels like if he's going for the US title, maybe he's close to it, or they're going to start giving him some of these sort of records that he, no doubt deserves for his longevity at WWE and just his service. And he's done amazing programs over the last years, Sheamus, from tagging with Cesaro to now coming back to singles and working his way back to the main event of Raw. And yeah, I'm with you too. If he was going into a main event of one night at WrestleMania, he would fully deserve it.
Just so you know, he's a 2-time US champion.
Nice.
According to Wikipedia, so it could be wrong.
Good knowledge, Will.
Just typed in the entrance,
I think what you were just saying, Will, was about like Sheamus being in that position that Bobby Lashley's in. I sort of would have agreed with you probably 3 months ago, but I think that what he's done through the pandemic with the Hurt Business, being an ever-present, Bobby Lashley, I wasn't really a big fan of, but he has grown on me so much. And they talk about him having his first world title in 17 years in the business, and now he's going to be able to headline a WrestleMania. I sort of just feel like this is maybe his chance, And before, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that McIntyre was definitely going to win no matter who he fought, but now I'm not sure, because Lashley, like George has said, I think he is white hot, and they've put so much now into his presentation around when he enters the ring. I am actually in love with the way that he comes out to the ring, like the new montage that he's got, the fireworks. He just looks like such a big star, and he's almost filling the void that Lesnar's left behind, from last year. So yeah, I've sort of become a bit of a Lashley fan, actually, and I wouldn't even mind if he was to beat McIntyre.
Yes, I'm not against him getting a push. I just think that with this WrestleMania and obviously how close they were to it, that a storyline building already. Sheamus can be trusted with the title. It would have maybe made a bit more sense, and they've sort of maybe pushed Lashley maybe quicker than they had to. And there's more WrestleManias on the horizon. So that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I just prefer Sheamus over Lashley, but Lashley is definitely, like I said, he's gaining a lot of momentum, and looks like the fans could even be split on this one because a lot of people get behind him.
Yeah, well, every Sunday me and Barnesy are at the Church of the Almighty, and if he keeps it, we'll be well happy.
Okay, the next match we had was Alexa Bliss defeated Randy Orton. This was due to the Fiend coming back. I think we've really struggled on the pod, actually. What do you think of the Fiend and the character, and maybe in particular this storyline that we've had since sort of TLC?
Well, it's been amazing that the Fiend's not been on TV, but the feud has continued, and that's been down to the brilliance of Alexa Bliss and just the creative writing that WWE have put in. Quick couple of stats here, actually, I've got on Alexa Bliss. This is the first woman to beat a man on a pay-per-view since China did numerous times in 1999. So you're talking over 2 decades. And it's her first win on pay-per-view since Extreme Rules 2018, where she beat Nia Jax. So we're talking like coming up 3 years since Alexa Bliss has won a pay-per-view match. That just staggered me. Yeah, and it's against Randy Orton, which is just unbelievable. But yeah, I'm sort of like just intrigued by the whole Fiend thing again. I think the main thing that's come out of this match is just the controversy of the way Alexa Bliss pinned Randy Orton, because it sort of got Randy Orton's wife tweeting about it. There's been quite a lot of aftermath on it. And I've just enjoyed the fallout more than the actual match. I mean, we knew that the match was, to me it looked like it was pre-recorded actually and just put into the card because of the fire, effects and the stuff that they had, and the the lights or whatever that object was that was falling from the arena roof. But yeah, I was just gripped to it from start to finish, to be honest, and I actually think that the Fiend, he needs to be repackaged, and the thing that I'm happy the most about is that he's not going for the belt at Mania. He's off the belt. He's got a long-standing feud with Orton. It sort of makes sense to have them two continue. And yeah, let's see if they have sort of changed the way that he's going to move forward. Like, he still had the Sister Abigail move, but it'd be good if they could give him something else, another sort of move maybe, and yeah, just change him up just slightly. But I still really like the Fiend, and I think he adds a lot to the show.
Yeah, I love Bray Wyatt. I almost feel like he's needs to be writing sort of horror movies instead of trying to book himself on WWE. He just seems so clever, and I love this Fiend character. Ever since that Hell in a Cell with Rollins, after then when they grounded him a little bit more, he's just so intriguing and so good. And yeah, during it, some of the storylines and stuff can sound a bit iffy, but when we look back at Bray and the Fiend, it's going to be very reminiscent of sort of, you're going to put him in that same list as like a Kane, where he had some dodgy storylines, but you don't look past them, you just look at the character. And I just think what Alexa's brought to his dynamic is excellent as well. I'd almost like to see more followers. He almost feels like if they took away a bit more of the supernatural, he could be like the Retribution leader, where you sort of have this man in a mask, and if you grounded him a little bit more and took away the supernatural, he could definitely get some followers, who turn a bit sort of how Bliss has. And I'm excited to see what they do at Mania. I imagined with Randy, who likes, these big matches where we had like the greatest wrestling match, and what Bray can deliver as well. I'm very, very excited and intrigued to what they are going to do at the show of shows.
Yeah, the Fiend I'm so sort of 50-50 on, because I think you do need something like this. You can't just have sort of 6 matches like Seth Rollins and Nakamura. You need to sort of have that entertainment sort of side of it. But don't know. Sometimes I look at it and I cringe because it's so like. Imagine you was in the pub and there's Sky Sports on or BT Sport and that come on. You'd be cringing, wouldn't you, to say that you watch this? But like I don't know. But when you're watching it at home alone, and it does sort of grip you a bit. Like you want to know what they're going to do next. So I am sort of torn. I sort of feel they may be taking it a bit too far, maybe a bit silly, personally. But I guess there's something there for everyone, isn't there? And some people are going to love this stuff. This is going to be the highlight for them. So,
I think with him as well, like there will be moments everyone will find a bit iffy and stupid, but when I say he's like going to be like a Kane, it would just be like when you look back at the whole career of the Fiend and what he will do. You'll ignore these bits, similar to how you ignore Kane and Schnitzky and things like that. You just look at the better parts. So yeah, I can see that point as well, and why people would find it strange. But hopefully, Mania will get something good again. What he did with Senior at a Mania previous was amazing. I thought that was just excellent. So if we get something like that with Randy, it'd be so good.
Yeah, what I was going to say was I feel like with the Fiend, like they've been able to go a little bit more over the top with the fire, because like when he was set on fire in the ring at TLC, because there's no fans, so like they've been able to go a little bit further than they probably would have if there's a live audience, like when all that fire was blazing around the ring and Orton's in the middle and the Fiend, obviously it wasn't the Fiend, but the mannequin's on fire. So it'd be interesting now how when the live crowd returns that his character sort of plays out again, because there's only so much you can do. But yeah, I'm a Fiend fan, and I think like for our friends over the pond, like in America, I bet they absolutely love it as well. So he just, he definitely adds another dimension, and for me, he gets the thumbs up.
Right, the next match was the main event. It was Roman Reigns defeating Daniel Bryan to retain the Universal Championship. We had Edge in there as the special enforcer, and at the end, he hit both with a chair before Reigns got the pinfall. Good match in my opinion. Do you agree?
I loved this match. I could watch Reigns and Bryan all day. Could watch them all pay-per-view. Just so good. And the storytelling throughout this is just incredible as well. With it all culminating at the end with Edge knowing that he wants Reigns at Mania, because why wouldn't you want the tribal chief instead of having Daniel Bryan? But the little tap out, it's just what Roman Reigns seems to be doing since he's come back as a heel has just been gold, and it's probably why he's got that gold wrist strap, because he is just money at the moment. And the storytelling in this was just so good. I'm interested to see where it goes. It looks like we might get Bryan into a triple threat, which I personally don't want. I don't think a Royal Rumble winner should then have to be in a triple threat for a world title fight. I feel like that is a 1v1 match. But we'll see what happens. He may even cost Edge. Or SmackDown is just very good at storytelling at the minute at the top of their card. So again, just excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I echo exactly what you said there. I love this match. I thought it was just gold from start to finish. I'm in agreement again. I just don't want it to be a triple threat. I want it to be 1-on-1. The winner of the Royal Rumble, he's got his shot. He gets the title match at Mania. That for me that's it. That should be set in stone almost. But yeah, like you say, the storytelling, just some of the moves, the Hurricane Runner into the Boston Crab, like Roman Reigns doing a Boston Crab, like what is, he's just, like you say, his character's developed so nicely. Just an absolute clinic of a match. And although I'm sort of going back on what I previously just said about Bryan not being in the main event, if anyone deserves like a WrestleMania main event match for me, he's there. He's coming into the twilight of his career. He's not going to get many more shots. And him, Edge, and Roman Reigns, it could be an amazing match. I just don't like that it's not the Royal Rumble winner versus the champion. I think that's just something that should always happen. And sort of similar to the Banks and Belair feud where they've gone for the tag titles. I just don't feel like you need someone in the middle of a pay-per-view having this match. Like, we didn't see on Raw Bobby Lashley have a match at Fastlane. So I just don't really think that you needed Edge to be the special enforcer. It's logical. It makes sense the way they built it. But for me, I just prefer it when it's not like that. I'd rather it just be built that it's the Royal Rumble winner. I'm here. I've got my shot, and I'm going to have the champ, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I imagine if Bryan's going to be in any sort of as a participant, I imagine it might be special ref after what Edge did this time, or as special enforcer, which would be fine if it's a one-on-one and then it's got Bryan as either an enforcer or referee. I can live with that. I feel like it would actually add quite a good dimension to the match as well. But again, just like the heel work with Roman, I just love, with no crowd, just the talk and smack, like when he was in the Boston Crab, or when he had him in like the grip, he was just like had a sleeper hold, and he was just like, yeah, you can't get out of this grip, I'm too strong. Like, he squeezed in my bicep, and he's just money, Roman Reigns. And Daniel Bryan will always be the ultimate underdog. He will always look like he's down and defeated and then can come back, and that's just what makes him an absolute future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I agree with what Jordan just said, actually. I don't think if you win the Royal Rumble that you should have to then go into a triple threat match. It seems to be like they've announced it's going to be Reigns versus Edge now. I think they should probably just stick with it. But Bryan did get Reigns to tap out, and he is hovering around the title picture now. So would you rather see this as a triple threat, or would you like to see Bryan involved in another sort of way, or would you want him just to face, say, Jey Uso? What do you think for WrestleMania?
I'd much prefer him sort of in if he's going to be in the match, just around either being a referee or an enforcer, how Edge was at Fastlane. A stick by, if you win the Rumble, you get your one-on-one shot. And Bryan's been similar to Sheamus in a way where he sort of thrust himself into the world title picture, and then it's you argue the case whether he deserves to be a part of the match or he's just helped the story develop, and then you go back to Edge and Reigns. So I'm not too sure. I mean, you've got to have Daniel Bryan on the WrestleMania card. So if he's not on this, I guess it is a Jey Uso match, but I'd rather have him as a referee outside it, enforcer, or in some capacity like that, than maybe take on Jey at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm hoping it's Jey Uso, and they could go with a storyline that he come out and interrupted the match, didn't he, when it looked like Bryan was on top as well. So he could definitely, that could definitely be a match. But I feel like Jey Uso, he deserves a match as well at Mania for just his run over the last sort of 6 months. He's now nicknamed Main Event Uso, so you want him to, for me personally, I want him to be involved in the card, and I wouldn't really want Daniel Bryan to be like an enforcer of the main event match just to progress it along. He's not got many Mania matches left now, so I want to see him in one-on-one combat against, another heel like Jey, and just, put on a potentially, show-stealing match.
Yeah, if I was to predict, I guess they've announced that Reigns versus Edge is going to be night 2. And I know Jordan said it before, how sometimes you like something to happen on night 1 that will impact night 2. So they could have Bryan in a match on night 1 with implications that he could be involved in that in night 2. So I guess that could happen. But yeah, I'm torn. Like we've sort of said, we want it to be one-on-one, but then we want to see Daniel Bryan in a big high-profile match.
I'd be very up for if night 1, Jimmy versus Bryan, winner referees the main event of night 2, because that it almost plays in the story itself where Roman, as the head of SmackDown, makes that stip or says that stip to Adam Pearce, and works very well with how and what Roman Reigns is currently doing, where he can think he can get Jimmy as the referee as sort of his insurance. So having that on night 1 and then making that go into night 2 I'd be well up for that. That'd be the scenario I'd love to see.
The one thing that was sort of just like off topic, sort of made me laugh in the last couple of minutes, is that we were talking about Sheamus trying to thrust his way in on the main event of Raw. We're talking about Daniel Bryan trying to get in on SmackDown. The Miz was the champion 2 weeks ago, and now he's fighting Bad Bunny. It's like, man, the sacrificial lamb in that storyline for sure.
Well, yeah. Let's talk about matches we know at WrestleMania so far then, and let's start with what you just said: Bad Bunny versus The Miz. That is confirmed for WrestleMania and apparently going to be on night 1. I was always under the sort of impression it would probably be a tag match involving Priest and Morrison. So, are you looking forward to seeing them one-on-one, and would you rather have seen the tag match?
I mean, I'm hearing a lot of Bad Bunny's act. He's very committed to this industry and he's really putting in the graft in sort of training and stuff. So I'm really interested to see how well he does. And he seems to respect massively what these guys do as a profession, which is the ultimate respect, really. But I just feel Morrison's probably one of the most underused superstars in WWE. He is so good. I think him and Miz are really funny together, and he's incredible in the ring. And to not even have him sort of part of a tag match just seems crazy, really. I think he's just well underutilized at the minute, and someone who deserves a lot more.
Yeah, even Damian Priest, he's come up to the Raw roster, and it's just a big opportunity for him to be on his first WrestleMania in a tag match. I just don't know why I haven't gone for the tag match, but I suppose we're all here hoping that Big Bunny or Bad Bunny, whatever he's going to be called, we're hoping he's going to be the new Pat McAfee and steal the show from when he debuted earlier last year.
Yes, so that match is confirmed apparently for night one. I mean, obviously it could change. The other two matches confirmed for night one are Lashley versus McIntyre and Banks versus Belair. In a quick sort of summary sentence, which match would you want to main event night one?
Banks Belair for me.
Yeah, I would want that, but I think the better feud is Lashley McIntyre at the minute.
Yeah, I think we'll see where we are in sort of 3 weeks' time, but I personally would want Banks Belair. And then we've had a few matches confirmed for night two. We've got Reigns versus Edge, unless Daniel Bryan gets involved in that. And we've got Asuka versus Rhea Ripley, who made her Raw debut and challenged Asuka to a match at WrestleMania. And it's on. So what a match we've got to look forward to there.
Yeah, I saw a tweet that Rhea Ripley sent on the 25th of July last year where she said, "My dream match is Asuka," and now it's coming true. And I suppose for anyone in, we were talking about at the Royal Rumble where there was a picture leak that it looked like Belair's foot hit the floor. Now it's almost irrelevant because the last two in that Women's Rumble are the two challengers for the belts at Mania. So I'm absolutely delighted. I'm buzzing that Ripley's getting an opportunity and sort of hope she wins.
Yeah, her and Asuka is just going to tear down the place. I'm so excited. Probably two of the better NXT Women's Champions of recent history. And if WWE book this right, Mania Night 2 should end with a new dawn in the women's evolution with Rhea and Bianca leading the way and not leaving the four horsewomen behind, but just showing that there's more to the women's division than those four women.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this match and the build up to this as well. And I'm sure we can look forward to Asuka and Ripley taking on Baszler and Jax in a women's tag team title match for sure.
Probably winning the night before.
So that's confirmed for night two. We've got the Fiend Orton apparently is confirmed for night two. And there's two more matches which haven't been allocated a night as of yet. Strowman and Shane, which we've touched on already. And the other match, which we haven't sort of spoke about yet on the pod, is the New Day defending their titles against AJ Styles and Omos. I think you guys, I think Matt in particular is a big fan of Omos. Looking forward to his debut.
I was until I watched this week's Raw and then saw Omos try and get into the ring quite quickly, and he's not nimble, is he? He's not nimble at all. So I'm not sure what he's going to add, actually. It would be interesting to see what he does. I was more excited before I saw him this week on Raw, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm still intrigued. I mean, AJ Styles can make anyone look brilliant, but I'm interested. I can't imagine them winning the tag title, so I don't know if this is going to be sort of the split of AJ and Omos, but that would seem too soon. So a bit more intrigued by this match than anything.
What's his name? Omos is going to be the new Nicholas, mate. First match at Mania and win the tag belts.
Yeah, I think I said in our WhatsApp group, I was a bit disappointed when I heard this one announced because I just thought AJ Styles just deserved a better match, really. And it's, I mean, obviously it's for the tag titles, but I would like to have just seen him face someone else.
Into brand, he could just throw in a singles match with Nakamura or Bryan if we need to get him on the card. Or put them all three together. Imagine that. Yeah. God, that's a world title match without a title.
Yeah. All right, so we've got 8 matches confirmed so far. They're doing it over 2 nights, so there's definitely room for more. Obviously, we've probably sort of said Rollins, Cesaro is probably going to be one. Was there any other sort of matches that you can sort of see happening which haven't yet been confirmed?
I think, like you said, we're going to get a big women's tag title match, aren't we? Looks like, I think what you said was a really good idea, actually, having as many tag teams in there as possible and just getting as many of them on the card as possible. The US title match, Riddle, Sheamus could happen as well, like you said. I'm sure that. I mean, they're probably going to aim for at least 6 matches a night, aren't they? So you're probably looking for 2 or 3 on each night, more than what's already there.
Yeah, they started it on Friday, and I'm so excited if they confirm it. If we get Owens versus Zayn at Mania, that will take the show for me. That will be incredible. It'd be weird having it the other way around, as Zayn as the heel and Owens as the face, but it's been a while since them two have been in the ring together, and I'm so excited for it. They are like the new age Brett and Shawn. Keep them apart, but when you need them, just bring them together and magic happens.
Yeah, obviously they're going back to the Raymond James Stadium like they were meant to last year, and it was like publicly said last year that Owens wanted to throw himself off the big pirate ship, and obviously ended up having to do it in the Performance Center off the sign when he fought Rollins. So be interesting to see if a year later he does that to Sami Zayn.
I don't know. I think it was on one of the WWE socials. They showed Kevin Owens promo training in the Performance Center, and he talked about how the only reason he came to WWE is because he was jealous Sami Zayn got called before him, and his whole career's work will be ruining Sami Zayn's career. So it feels like they're just starting to get the ball rolling on it. So I'm excited to see what comes Saturday, and hopefully that match is just going to be one for the ages.
Yeah, so on the Pinfall, we're going to have a WrestleMania preview show. So hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, we can preview all the matches, give our predictions, and look forward to some sort of mouth-watering matches which come up at WrestleMania. But let's just bring it back to Fastlane before we go. What did you think of the pay-per-view as a whole? And obviously, we've sort of, it's the last stop before WrestleMania, as they keep saying, but we've also had Elimination Chamber. Do you feel there's too many in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania? Or you're happy with 2 in between?
For me, it's not needed, really. I feel like title matches on a pay-per-view like this, there's going to be no real surprise. The only title I thought could change hands was the US, because there's nothing set in stone for it at Mania at the moment. And it did make me laugh after the pay-per-view. The graphic went up. It was like 20 days to Mania. And you start to think, with Fastlane, we only started some of the feuds leading up to Mania. You feel like Mania's feud build should be they should be well underway by now, especially after Chamber. So it feels like it was kept there to be like one of those brand-only pay-per-views, but now it's back to inter-branded. They could just cut it out.
Yeah, one thing for me that I took from it was the amount of adverts that were in the show, actually. WWE Network's gone to Peacock, as they kept saying about 100 times during the show. And it just felt like, you couldn't fast forward the adverts or anything on the network. So, yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. But the actual card, I thought the actual show was pretty good, considering it felt like it had no build and it was just put together last minute. I mean, like we said, the Sheamus McIntyre match was excellent. Seeing Nakamura and Rollins is always great. And then, the main event lived up to expectation. Just great storytelling. So there was some real good moments on it. But there was some stuff as well that just needed to happen in terms of the storyline with Banks and Belair. So I suppose as an overall summary, it was in a way needed. And looking forward to Mania now. It's 19, 20 days away or something. So it's coming around super fast. And this is like the best time of the year for me. So yes, let's see what happens.
Yeah, for me, I'm just happy to have one in between pay-per-view, and Elimination Chamber would be perfect. A lot of what happened on the card, they probably could have either got done at Elimination Chamber or done it on a Raw or SmackDown, really. I don't think it was a needed pay-per-view, but on the flip side of that, it's given us something to talk about for 45 minutes, and we've had some decent matches as well. Like we said, the Rollins, Nakamura, McIntyre, Sheamus, the main event. So, I enjoyed it, but I'm not sure if it's needed sort of going forward. I'd personally just quite like it to have one stop in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, and make it mean something. Make it mean a little bit more, really.
Completely agree.
Nice one. Well, thank you very much for listening. Like I said, we will be back WrestleMania week. There's NXT Takeover, a preview show. We're going to have WrestleMania reviewed as well. So please remember to subscribe to us. If you've enjoyed the show, give us a little rating. And that's all we have time for. Thank you for listening. This is the Pinfall. Ring the bell.